Hello, all you unsung athletes. Welcome to the Unsung Athlete podcast, where we give a voice to you, the unsung athlete, training every day, grinding without excuse, reward or not. I'm your host, Shannon Rose. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the Unsung Athlete podcast, where we give a voice to you, the unsung athlete. I'm your host, Shannon Rose, and I'm here with two of my very favorite women in the entire world, Nealee Morrison and Kelsey Kaufman. Nealee is a mama to my amazing nephew and niece. She is a general badass and veteran. She heals through yoga, is a doula, and my beautiful cousin. And Kelsey is a mom to four incredible kiddos whom I love. She has traveled the world learning about yoga and how to bring that back to the Midwest. And she is a doula and my dear friend. And both of you are such an important part of my life. And I sometimes wonder how I'd get through these mom moments without our group. I love you both so much. And I'm honored to have you here.
Shannon, thank you so much for the awesome introduction and for getting me emotional already. So happy to be here.
Yes, success.
Very, very sweet. Thank you.
All right, let's get started. So you know me. I have to start with love. Tell me what you love and what you're grateful for today in this moment. Go ahead, Nealee.
What I love. I mean, it always goes back to family, right? So love both of you, family, or as we call it, family, those we choose to be in our family. So couldn't do it without either of you or extended family, my husband, my kiddos, parents, in-laws, all of that. So much love for all of the family that helps support me to do all the things we do.
Right.
Grateful. Well, I mean, there's a lot, right? I guess, well, my pup is behind me, so I'm going to say grateful for my Rottweiler dog, Koa, today, who's had some health issues and is staying strong.
My answer is so similar. I love my family. I could not do this life without Adam, my husband, who is just an amazing father, a great partner. But life is really hard with four kids. And honestly, meeting Nealee a few years ago has made things incredibly more enjoyable. Even though it's still hard, it's enjoyable. And then she introduced me to you, Shannon, and I feel like this is what has been missing in my life for the last decade plus, is this group of like really strong people that support you no matter what. And so that is what I am incredibly grateful for, is both of you in this little group that we have.
Oh, you fill my heart. Well, you kind of led to it a little bit, but before I get into my deep questions, I would like you to tell our readers about how the two of you met and became friends so that they understand your connection, your business, and how you both show up together.
Yeah, I can start with this one. Nealee and I have both been working at the same yoga studio, but we did not know it at the time. She was teaching here for several years before I came to Inspiring Actions, which is the name of the yoga studio. And then she took a maternity break after she had her oldest, Edie. And then I started teaching the class that she was once teaching. We both got pregnant, me with my third, her with her second, and she showed up at this class with these amazing bangs and cute glasses. And I was just so in awe of her. I thought she was the coolest person. We finished that class. We didn't really talk a whole lot then. And flash forward a year or so, we show up at K preschool at this goat farm. And Nealee is dropping off her oldest, and I am dropping off my second oldest. And we both like made eyes at each other, like, hey, I know you, and I think you're cool. And we just became quick friends after that. It was love at second sight.
Well, Nealee, maybe you can start with telling us too. So you found this connection, by the way, you saying that you recognized each other at a goat farm. That's just like second nature in your relationship.
Our kids' farm school.
I love that so much.
Yeah. And to add on, I am, as you both know, very introverted, have a very little amount of people that like are in my close circle. And so Kelsey's a little, well, she likes to say she's not, a little more extroverty, a little more people-y, not all the time. But I was like, was like, I really want this person to be my friend. I was like, totally
Oh,
loved Kelsey right away. And like Owen's like, you have a new friend? I'm like, yeah, her name is Kelsey. And like I haven't had very many like adult new friends. And so then I like kept wanting to hang out with her and I was like, yeah, this is gonna happen, you and me. And
Oh,
then here we are.
yeah. And I think I had been doulaing already at that time, and Neely became my person that I would just kind of like download and process the births with. And she told me that she had a doula and she had unmedicated water births, which I also had. And I was like, well, let's let's do this. Like, why aren't you doing this too? And so she took a doula training, and we still like
Mhm.
hadn't really talked to each other about whether or not we were going to doula together. And when she was done, she was like, so should we just do this together? And
yeah.
so we've been doula partners for the last 3 years. We tandem teach some prenatal yoga classes. Um, our kids are involved in a lot of similar things so that if one person is at a birth, the other person can just naturally step in and become the mom, the parents to help get the kids to where they need to be. And because we have similar yoga teaching styles, we can step into each other's classes almost seamlessly.
So just to recap, you both own Encompass Birth and Wellness, which is your
Yes.
doula and yoga business. And that's what you're referring to. And that what you started that 2 to 3 years ago, or was it more?
I think 3 years
Probably
ago.
Oh
one.
my gosh,
Yeah.
it's already been
Yeah.
3 years, but you had had experience prior and had been doing that a long time. And what I love about what you're saying is in order to keep that going, you have this like seamless support. And I mean, how many women and parents would love that, would love to be able to say, it's okay if I go do this very important thing because I have someone who's got my back and who I don't even
Mhm.
have to really explain things to. You just,
Hmm.
Yeah.
right? You guys
Yeah.
don't have
I
to
mean,
hand off
yeah.
lists like, in case of an emergency, call this or do this. You both know each other's houses. You know
Mhm.
each other's families. You know each other. You know each other's husbands.
We
That
share a
Yes,
Google
right.
Calendar. Yeah.
yeah.
We share a Google Calendar so that everybody knows where everyone is supposed to be.
Yeah. So our husbands have access to our Encompass calendar. So everyone knows who is where. So we're like, Adam is taking the kids, or Olin has so and so, Kelsey and Neely are here. And
Amazing.
yeah, talking about something grateful for, like having a doula business where you have two doulas to support somebody. It's just like I don't think there's many out there who make it. I think we make it work pretty well.
Right. There's so many solopreneurs, but there aren't many
Hmm.
teams. So I
Because you
love
definitely have to, you got to jive, otherwise it just doesn't work.
this.
It gets very complicated.
Yeah.
So many.
And it's all kinds of hours. So I know you both are active. You're yoga instructors. I know you have both done different activities or sports in, let's say, your previous lives or younger lives. But today, in this moment, do you consider yourself an athlete and why?
I just taught a yoga class right before this, and I was telling them as they were packing up and leaving because I hate uncomfortable silence. So I always have to tell a story. I was telling them about this podcast interview that I'm doing next. And I was like, I thought we were going to be talking about my doula business the whole time, but here it turns out like Shannon considers me an athlete. And what am I going to talk about? Because I just do yoga. And the class of these four women were so sweet and so supportive and just filled my cup, filled me with love, like made me think about that I am an athlete, even though I'm not out there running a mile every day. I'm not lifting heavy weights every day. But I think where I can excel is using breath work or pranayama, bringing that into my everyday. So it doesn't look like a typical fitness routine, but I am using my breath, using meditation, using gentle movement to keep not only my body healthy, but my mind and also my spiritual energy.
Yeah, your holistic fitness. And just to be like the definition of an athlete is someone who perfects their craft, who's constantly perfecting their craft. Well, you think like, what would that be? Right? For
Yeah.
you, it is
Yeah.
just like what you said, that breath work, that everyday and meditation. I mean, some of us, I do Muay Thai, so if I'm on the bags, that's a form of meditation to me. But I need to incorporate more of your style. of athleticism, as you know.
I think we could both benefit from taking a page out of each other's book because I could definitely use like some Muay Thai in my life.
Yeah, you need to punch some things. I get
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
What about you, Nealy? Do you consider yourself an athlete?
Yeah, yeah. Same thing. Like I was like, we thought maybe it was like the doula thing. I was like, this is about athletes, and we were like, I don't know if I qualify. But then, yeah, if you break it down and really think about it, like we each do yoga multiple times a week, and like
That's
not
right.
only teaching, like going to classes or just even at home, like every day I do a little bit of yoga, even if it's like a pose or two, just because I just can't not do it, you know? So yeah, it is just being mindful of something or doing a little child's pose, which is my favorite. You can find me there many times a day, just resting for a beat.
I know a fighter who I train with, and she started incorporating yoga. And she all of a sudden, over the past year, has just become absolutely jacked. Like all of her muscles and core muscles are popping. What happened? She goes, I started doing yoga.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, use all the muscles, right? Like it's a lot more usually like leaner, longer, right? But incorporating with different things. Kelsey,
yeah.
were even teaching yoga for wrestlers for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. For my son and his Victory School of Wrestling here in River Falls, which you held a class at for us. And yeah, I'll be doing some workshops at their upcoming camps in the fall and in the spring and summer for their wrestlers.
So, next question. You both have wrapped your head around, I'm an athlete. And I immediately think of you guys as 100% athletes. And that idea, and for everyone who listens here, to be inspired to the fact that there's different layers of being an athlete. And like you say, you don't always have to be so 100% physical in your athleticism. There is this idea of mental and emotional fitness, which I think sometimes is even more important, especially like as all of us are getting into a certain age. I recently like looked at my metabolism, and it wasn't that I wasn't eating right, and it wasn't that I wasn't working out enough. It was that my sleep and my mental health were forcing me to carry additional weight and inflammation. And those are the things that you can't work out of you. You can't eat less to solve. You can't, eat more protein and get rid of that. You have
Yeah,
to act.
the information that's coming out about cortisol and the important role that it plays, especially in middle-aged bodies, I'm going to call us middle-aged,
Yeah,
is
proudly.
yeah, and like cortisol, I think is going to be a buzzword if it isn't already in what you're talking about and what you're hearing about. It's going to be because that stress hormone is getting so much recognition right now as being something that we've overlooked for
Mhm.
years, decades. And we have these people that are cutting calories and counting points and running on the
Yeah.
treadmill, but they're so stressed, they're so full of cortisol that they're not making the gains that they want to see. And I think that's really where yoga, meditation, and breath work are going to have a more important role.
Right. Right. And you also don't have to do it, like, you don't have to do it for an hour to have it make an effect, right? Neely, you had said, I might just go into child's pose for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like feeling overwhelmed. My kids know where to find me. Like
In child's
child's
pose.
pose somewhere. Just like, yeah. And some of it's like awareness of your body
Yeah.
and how it feels. Like talking to a lot of yoga students who are first starting yoga, like they're like, oh my gosh, like, thinking about like the right and the left side of your body, how something might feel different or, and how after just like a week or two of yoga, like I am feeling so many differences or just like awareness of how their body is moving in the world. And on the other hand, people have been doing yoga for a really long time. And if you take a couple days off, like they go on vacation, they come back like, oh my gosh, I just so needed this yoga class. Like I haven't done yoga in a week and I can feel it. Like it's just, even if it's subtle movement, like you notice, which I think is super cool about yoga.
And
So,
I do think it's important to say that the type of yoga that Neely and I
Mm.
teach is like a more traditional hatha based yoga. It's not kind of like the fitness based stuff that we see a lot in America. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with finding a yoga practice that works for you. But when Neely and I are speaking about yoga, This is slow, mindful movement that is connected to your breath. You're going to have a 5 to 10 minute shavasana at the end of class. We're going to have you thinking about your breath in almost every pose that you're in. It's just a lot slower than some of these
Yeah.
studios that we see popping up that are promoting fitness-based yoga. And again, nothing wrong with that. It's just different.
What's a shavasana?
Gosh, it's this lovely, most important pose in every practice where you find a comfortable place to rest and you let your whole body be heavy and you stop controlling your breath. You just let it flow naturally and you just try to observe your thoughts. There's no sense in trying to clear your mind because it's nearly impossible for most of us. So you just allow yourself to take a step back and just watch what's happening instead of being like, oh yeah, Aldi, I need green peppers, I need cauliflower, I need this, this, and this. You're just like Aldi in one ear and out the other. Walgreens in one ear, out the other.
Because it can, I mean, it is a practice.
That's right.
Like you can't not think a lot of the time. So it's a lot of like thought pops up and you're like, great. I'm just trying to let it go. And then eventually, after time, they become a little less incessant, depending on the day.
Well, I know what you're talking about is I know it sounds like we said, it sounds maybe easier or it has less effort, but to be honest, doing what you both do and embracing it and making it a consistent practice is actually harder for me than it is to go and do an hour of weightlifting. It is harder for me to go and do a half hour of slow motion, gentle movement, breathing, and shavasana, laying there doing
Mm-hmm.
nothing. That is, so I know for a lot of my listeners who are all about the grind, right? That's even in my motto, right? We grind without excuse. There's importance in that too. But there is this other side that if you don't embrace the stillness and the quietness, like you said, then you miss out on a whole nother level of your performance and your life and your overall fitness, which
Mm-hmm.
is really incredible. So I know life is absolutely crazy for both of you. We talked about that. Your ships passing in the night, literally sometimes, and you have so much going on. All of your kids are active in so many things. You both have multiple, passionate pursuits in your lives. How do you keep going? Like, how do you keep moving and teaching others and running this incredible business and being brilliant mamas and being my friend and knowing that there's no major award at the end of every day. There's no recognition waiting for you. Sometimes there's no thanks or acknowledgement of all of the things you've juggled in the day. What keeps you going every day?
I mean, I guess what it really comes down to, I think sometimes for me, and it has been like my whole life, is like acts of service for others. Like wanting to be there to help other people just feels good to me. Like I want to support others and learning and want to support people to help them feel comfortable and supported. I like teaching yoga and being there in the yoga classes. I love being a doula and supporting people through their birth journey. Yeah, that's it. Like, yeah, I mean, down to what you say, Shani, love of it, love supporting others and just being there for people. And sometimes some of their hardest times.
Right.
That is a great answer. And weirdly, like I was going to go in a totally different direction, but I 100% agree with everything that you've said, Nealee. For me, what keeps me going, and the only way that I can stay going right now in this busy season is to try to stay on top of things as much as I can. Like if I let things pile up, dishes, laundry, planning a yoga class, Encompass birth and wellness paperwork or responses, if I let that pile up, it becomes too overwhelming. So I know myself like right now, I just need to do a little bit each day. I don't need to spend a day doing a ton of things. It's just like, okay, what are two simple things that I can do for my house right now to help me stay on top of things? What are two simple things I can do for Encompass right now to help me stay on top of things? And then the motivation for doing those one or two simple things is those tiny moments when, like, you've been taking your kid to and from wrestling practice 4 times a week for the last 4 months, and they go to a tournament and they get that pin. And then you see their face and you see them run over and hug their coach, which happens to be their dad. And it just makes everything so worth it. Or it's the tiny moment when you've been doing all of this stuff for your family, and then you see your sweet 9-year-old come home and notice that the counter is clear. There's no dishes on it. And she does her dishes without being asked. And you're like, can we swear on your podcast?
Yeah.
You're like, fuck yeah. Yeah. It feels so good, those tiny moments. And often like we just blow past those tiny moments, but if you really stop to celebrate those little wins, it makes the busyness worth it.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I went big picture. You went little picture. Good job. We brought it together.
you did. This is why you both make incredible guests. But it's true. I think of anyone who is overwhelmed in trying to do all of these things and be perfect at all of these things. If you do take that big picture and bring it in, and you do focus on one or two things and you do them consistently, those things will advance. Like you say, it's not the big efforts. It's not the big days where you just get everything done that cleans your house or that keeps you motivated or keeps you feeling whole. It's those everyday things. So I absolutely love that. Everyone has different answers here. Like some people are like, I have a plan and I work towards it, but you both are bringing that yogic view. Be in the moment, feel.
So yeah, finding the moments that count.
So we all have times when we have been pulled away from our focus, from our craft, from the things that we want to be putting energy into. Sometimes that is being active, that's yoga. Sometimes it might be a business, or it might be from, something you just really love, but you've been pulled away from it unexpectedly because of life events or whatever that might be. We all have a comeback story. So I want to know, what was the event that maybe pulled you away from something you were working towards or something you wanted? And how did you come back from that? What is your comeback story?
I was dueling on my own from 2012 until 3 years ago, and was getting super wore out because I had my own babies during that time. And to be able to be at a birth and also get your kids to where they need to be and to show up for your spouse, and my yoga job that I had at the time, it just like felt impossible. And I just wanted to quit and just be totally done with it. And like I went into this little funk because watching someone enter the world and watching a person become parent is just one of the most amazing things that I have ever witnessed. And to be asked by someone to be a part of that for them is so amazing. And when I wasn't able to be at births anymore, I just got in a huge funk. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't doing other things that I enjoy. I wasn't reading anymore. I wasn't going to yoga classes, like just doing things because they needed to be done, not because I wanted to do them. And then this is going to sound so sappy and lame, but then like meeting Nealee and then having a birth or two that I attended and being able to process that with her and seeing like her get so excited about that, and then finding out that she's always wanted to do this, and then having her go through her training and us joining forces, like that is truly my comeback story in my doula life, because there's no way I'd be able to keep doing this if she wasn't there with me. It makes such a big difference when you have that person that you can like 100% count on. And I feel so lucky because I have Adam, who is awesome, but then I also have like this bonus platonic life partner that I can also 100% count on. And Nealee and Encompass is totally my comeback story.
Ah, that's an incredible comeback story. And when you think about
Very sweet.
anyone who has felt overwhelmed How do they do this? My coach, Nikita, she had a comeback story where she was feeling burnt out. And it was by trying something new with someone else that reignited her
Mm,
passion in her own work and life. And so I think that's a lesson learned. And now that I'm hearing, when you hear things repeated, if you're
mhm.
feeling like you're in a funk, seeing it sometimes through others' eyes, or I've found through my children's eyes, can
So
just, like, make you love something again and in a completely new way. What about you,
So
Neely?
true.
Your comeback story?
So I went to school for criminal justice, started as like doing house arrest monitoring back in the day, and then I still work part-time at a juvenile service center working with juveniles in the detention facility. I was originally thought it was kind of be my passion and something that I loved. And then having kiddos and learning about the doula business, and then I had my daughter in 2012. And then like always wanting to be a doula and just like not doing it. Like I have this other full-time job and it pays really well and it's great. Like I'm so lucky to have this. But then in the back of my mind, always being like, this is not my passion. And then meeting Kelsey and knowing she was a doula, I was like, oh my God. I was like, I want to be Kelsey. I want to do this, and then finally just doing it, like going through the training at a time where it just seemed crazy. Like
Yeah,
everything's shut down. You're going to change careers. Like what are you?
right. Yeah.
And then just finally doing it and becoming a doula and being able to work with Kelsey and, actually, even though the hours are crazy, like I love it. Like
Yeah.
getting called at 1 in the morning, like, yeah, let's do this, which is like, Owen's like, my husband's so glad that you love it because if it was like, whenever I go to work at the juvenile center, I'm like, I gotta go to work, it's just different. So
I
not
think
a comeback, but
I think that's a
a change
great,
of pace.
phenomenal comeback
Yeah.
story. It really
Okay.
is a comeback from apathy, a comeback from, like, not doing something,
Yeah.
and settling. How many people that listen to this are in that same sort of thing where they're going, man, my life is pretty good. If I change things,
Yeah.
there's a risk. I'm not happy or I'm not completely happy. I'm not living my passion, but things are okay. I
Yeah.
mean, I do that a lot. But that risk of just saying, okay, I got to follow my heart and my passion and look at how incredible. Not only did you build a business and you're doing what you love, but you have gained.
Mhm.
What did you call your relationship?
Platonic life
Platonic life
partner.
partners.
Yeah, platonic life partner. I love that so much. So, when you think into your lives about individuals in your life that have inspired you to become active, to be a driven person, and to be passionate about the things that you do in your life, to follow your heart, to do these things that you all have talked about and that drive you and that you focus on, when you think about who in your life has inspired you to have these core values and to pursue these things?
The person that I looked up to and still do, even though she's no longer earthside, is my grandma, my mom's mom. Her name is Orly Grace. And I loved her so much. And just remember saying ever since I was 5 or 6 years old, like, I can't wait to be just like my grandma Orly someday, just surrounded by her family. She had 9 kids and they all continued to live close by her and be there for all of these family functions, even when it wasn't a family function, just showing up on a Tuesday to eat the Swan's ice cream that just got delivered, like she was so patient and she didn't have a lot, but anything she did have, she wanted to share with people. And I guess that's how I try to live my life. And she has inspired me to just share what I have. We have so much in terms of like love and support that we can give other people. And I really think it is all because of my grandma Orly. And she was just such a positive role model for that attitude of just being there when you can and helping and loving each other. Oh gosh, I wish you could have met her, Shannon, because she was all about just loving people through experiences, loving people through food. Like she never gave us a Game Boy or a Nintendo 64, you know, like all of the cool
Yeah.
electronics from the 90s, but she gave us homemade baked goods and we were welcome at her house anytime and miss her dearly.
Yeah. I mean, having people in your life that you can just be, like be yourself and just feel completely cared for. There's something about that, and I know that you bring that same energy, that Grandma Oralee energy into your life and
Grandma energy.
into your business, into your work, into your friendships, because what you described there, I feel. So, what about you, Nealee? Who's inspired you?
I could talk about all my close family and friends. Probably my biggest supporter always has been my mom, single parent raising two girls, and she's always wanted me to be me. That made me who I am today, but just genuine love and support. Like no matter what I did, it was just there no matter what. Like she just gave her all, like almost sometimes too much. She was that, I
Yeah,
got you no matter what, even in her downfall at times. Because moms, right? Moms, we do so much for others. But
right.
yeah, she's always my main person, still is. Like if I have something going on, call my mom,
Yes.
even in my 40s,
I call my mom all the time,
you
which
know.
I saw a post the other day that said, if your parents are still living, spend all your time with them. Call them, talk to them,
Yeah.
like just spend your time with them. So then you think of this matriarchal energy flowing through both of you and look at your careers and the types of moms you are. Powerhouse, which then you are both moms of athletes. Most of your kids do some sort of a craft or an activity. Go through your kiddos, activities or their recent accomplishments. I'll give you some mom brag time.
My daughter Edie, who is 12 in sixth grade, is a swimmer, loves swimming, is in the swim club in town here and has the ability to swim Monday through Friday and would love to go every single day if there wasn't other things happening in our lives. We try to get her there as much as possible, but she just loves it. She loves being in the pool, loves all of it. Like I'm always like, "Do you want to go?" She's like, "Yeah, I want to go swimming." Even like even after all of her other things, because in school she's in choir and she's in band and like homework now that it's like sixth grade stuff. No matter what, she's always like, if she has the ability to, she wants to swim. She also really loves reading.
Well, and swimming is lifelong. I mean, that's a lifelong activity. She can do that
Yeah.
forever, which is
I love that she found it because she wasn't ever super into all the team sports, if you will, but found swimming. And I was so happy that she just fell in love with it. And then my son Barrett, who is 9, loves all sports, flag football, soccer, basketball. He's currently doing basketball right now, but it just depends on the season and he's doing it.
awesome. I love that. And how did you get them into sports? Did you just have them try things? Did you suggest things or did you listen to what they wanted?
I had them try things they're interested in. Edie tried, she did soccer, she did some basketball, she did some volleyball, kind of liked it, but it just didn't have like that passion behind it. And so then it was when she finally tried swimming that she was like, this is it. And so then we just went with that. And then Barrett, yeah, wanted to try all the things, is trying all the things. At some point, we'll probably have to pick and slim it down a little bit as he gets older. So we'll see what he lands on.
I love that. I'm always curious, like how we're passing being active and holistically healthy down to our kids.
Yeah.
What about you, Kels?
My oldest, Charlize, is 13, and I am so happy that it seems like she's kind of found something that she is really passionate about. She started powerlifting this year, and she had her first powerlifting meet last weekend, and she loved it. And she broke 2 of her personal records at the meet, and she can't wait for the next one. Charlize is pretty similar to Edie, whereas we've encouraged her to try a lot of different things. You don't have to do it for more than one session or one season, but when you sign up, you're committed to this team or to this sport throughout the duration of it. And she's never really gone back to anything. And this is her first powerlifting season, but I think that she will be back. She's also an avid reader and crazy good at math and just besides Adam and Nealee, like just one of my biggest helpers. Love her so much. My
Yeah.
son Killian is 11, and we do not have to encourage him to do anything because, like Barrett, he wants to do it all. He wrestles all year round. When he's not in a in-school program, he wrestles at Victory School of Wrestling here in River Falls all year. He loves football. He loves baseball. Those are the three main sports that we try to hold him into, but he's also doing rock climbing right now.
Gosh.
He's a very coachable kid, and he picks things up super quickly. So it's really easy for him to try something and be decent at it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Nora is 9, and she, similar to Charlize, where we've asked her to do several things and nothing has really stuck. She also is swimming with Edie and she loves it. I think she has
Oh.
found an activity that she enjoys. I don't know if she's going to compete a whole lot, but she sure loves the practices. And she is also rock climbing right now. And if there was a rock climbing team, I could see her being a part of that. She loves it. She brings home this piece of rope and is knotting it all day and knotting it
Ah,
on things. And don't get her started about belaying because she'll talk your ear off about belaying and how she's certified to do it for
beauty.
you. And then Vivian is 6 and she loves dance. And she just had her first dance recital of the year last weekend. And she doesn't smile a whole lot on stage, but it's hard to take your eyes off of her. And I know that this is a mom brag moment, but I had other people come up to me too and be like, she just has this sparkle or this energy. She's so vibrant on stage. And even though it's a little resting bee face, she does
That's because
she's
she's
found
boss baby.
she is boss baby and she's good at it. She loves it.
Ah, I love all of those stories. What I really like between both of you is that, and for those who are trying to get their kids into something, having them try things but then not just try it and immediately give up when they think they don't like it. You really do have to give it some time and try the season, try this,
Mhm.
the book of 5 sessions, whatever it is, to get a feel. And I think it's really cool. Kelsey, I think you were the one who said she doesn't want to compete. She just likes the practice.
Yeah.
That to me is a major parent win because
Yeah.
that's the important part.
Mhm.
Oh, I love all of your kids so much, and I just can't wait to see what they do in this world. Our last and final question, and you've got 30 seconds to answer. Kelsey, what is one thing you want to say to inspire the world?
I want to tell the world that it is okay to rest. It is
Mm.
okay to do less. It is okay to say no. It is okay to be passionate about a lot of things, but to really like step back and be like, okay, I have a limited amount of time and energy and sanity. What is one thing that I can focus on right now? And just focus on that and let everything else just sit there until the time is to switch it up. I think we underestimate the importance of slowing down and resting. And I just want to tell people that it's okay. It's okay to give
Yeah.
yourself a break. It's okay to put the gloves down and sit and meditate and breathe for 30 minutes instead of punch something.
Are you talking to me, Kelsey?
No, no.
Well, you've inspired me. But it is true. Like one of the mottos we have on this podcast is it's rest. Like you need to rest, you need to recoup, you need to refill. Don't stop, but you can rest and you can pause and you can, like you say no to things that are distracting you from whatever your purpose is in that moment. And maybe it is rest, like I took a week off of working out and a week off of all of my hustling and business building 1 week, right? It's like barely any time, but I took a whole week. I ate whatever I wanted. I sat by the pool. I didn't open my computer. It was a very hard week, but my goodness, I felt so good after that. My
That's
eyes were
awesome.
bright. It was really an incredible thing. So you're
I
absolutely
am,
right.
I am so proud of you.
Oh,
That's
you see,
huge.
it was huge. I can't say I abided by it 100%, but it's maybe 90, 85, 90.
That's okay.
What about you, Nealee?
Be patient with yourself and others. It's hard. It's hard to be patient with yourself. Sometimes we give others more grace than we give ourselves. Sometimes we're just so hard on ourselves for the little things or the big picture things. And it's okay to rest and pause and not be perfect.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. And we all just try so hard. And it's okay if not everything turns out how it's supposed to. I mean, because it does. It just might not be the exact path you wanted.
Yes. I love that idea of patience with yourself. I know, again, a lot of my listeners are working towards big, audacious goals, and they are like, go, 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 go. I'm not doing enough. I didn't meet my goals. But if you really stopped and looked at all they accomplished, they might have worked out 100 days in a row. They might have increased their weight by 20 pounds. There's so many other measurements of health and progress. And though they may not have made it perfectly or completely, you're right. Like, have patience in the process. If you rest when you need to and you keep showing up, the things that need to happen will happen. I love that. You guys are so great. I love you both so
You
much.
are.
I love you too.
Yeah, and thank you for being
Ooh.
on with me and just
Yeah.
opening up your hearts to my listeners. I know that you're not my typical guests, but you are athletes in your own right. And I think you bring an incredible perspective to the athletic world and what honing your craft really does mean and what the balance of that means. So thank you for being here and showing us all the true heart of an unsung athlete.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much for
having
having us
us.
on. I would love it if we could set up a time to go to a restorative yoga class together.
All right, I'll do that. Now
Okay.
I'm committing.
Now your listeners know they're going to ask you, how was that restorative yoga class? Do you know how many poses? Do you know how many poses you do in a restorative yoga class?
No,
Like
one?
five in 60
Like
to
a
75 minutes.
So you're just, are you flowing through those over and over, or are you just holding them for like
You're
the,
like laying down supported by props and blankets, and you get tucked in and you just have like 8 minutes to just lay there and rest per
do people
pose.
fall asleep?
Sometimes,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, I commit. Thank you for joining us on the Unsung Athlete podcast, where we give a voice to you, the unsung athlete. I'm your host, Shannon Rose. Keep grinding without excuse.